When the pressure hits, we scale precisely, horizontally and in modular bursts. So not with panic hiring or chaotic vertical sprawl.
You're listening to 15M Mastering, a show that empowers you with insights from the leading iGaming experts to enhance your personal or business performance. The show is brought to you by tech-driven affiliate and media company Already Media, and supported by the AI-powered data analytics platform Blask. And Yo Investments, a fund manager investing in outstanding people who are disrupting the iGaming, fintech, and crypto industries. Hey everyone, and welcome back to 15M Mastery. Today we're joined once again by Dmytro Matiukha, CEO at Betinvest. Dmytro runs a global sports entertainment tech provider that serves operators worldwide with machine learning-powered solutions. In this episode, we will explore the tough strategic choices sportsbook tech providers face every day. Welcome back, Dmytro.
It's a pleasure for me to meet you today again, Dmitry. And yeah, it feels like being at home on 15-minute mastery at this point. So thank you for inviting me.
It's a great compliment, and it's great that our guests, they feel like at home while we ask these complicated questions and dive into the most complicated topics in this niche. So let's get straight to the action. So what major decisions do you face when scaling technology and teams to support more operators?
Well, actually, yeah. Thank you for question, Dmitry. It's a really lovely question. And, I'll be more than pleased to answer to this question. So scaling is not about growing headcount. It's about scaling value output per engineering unit, per API call, per content drop. So the real challenge isn't, do we have the people? It is, are we delivering throughout the match's partner growth velocity? And this is actually really important. Stay with me with that. That's why we don't scale our org charts. We scale microservices, uptime stability, and partner-side performance metrics. And our decision loop looks like this. The partner volume leads to load forecast, leads to infra stress test, leads to resource alignment. So this is the perfect circle for you. If there's no partner side pressure, we do not overbuild. Why would we? Like when the pressure hits, we scale precisely, horizontally and in modular bursts. So not with panic hiring or chaotic vertical sprawl. And at Betinvest, technically we built a lean SaaS style infrastructure where ops, content, IT, and trading are cross-functional by design. So we do not add teams with scale value chains. And that's the only way to support more operators without cannibalizing on performance or diluting reliability.
I love it. It feels like, sometimes when, the operator starts, it's very hard to, decide which product or which features they need. So how do you decide between one type of product for all versus custom feature for each operator? Is this possible?
Well, actually, yeah, it is possible. And the things that you need to take into consideration is that the question isn't whether to build custom, it's when it pays to do so. So we use a really clear rule at Betinvest. If you want divergence from core products, you fund it, either as a direct dev cost or via shared commercial upside. Otherwise, we operate on what we call a standard with flavor model. So what it is? Technically, it's high adaptability and low chaos model. And here's what matters most. Behavioral segmentation. Without it, you're just throwing features at the wall. So you need to take this into consideration. Always, no compromises. We model our user cohorts, usage curves, and event drop-offs rates before we build anything. And if a feature makes sense for our audience profile, we scale it. If not, it stays parked. Operators who skip this step aren't scaling, they're guessing. So, again, business is not a playfield where you can guess. It's not, because it rather becomes a minefield. You have to be precise, and every move needs to be calculated, taking into consideration all of the risks and benefits.
More gold to come, I guess, with all the quotes you throw in, mate. Thank you so much for this. And, there's one very tough question which I want to raise right now, because many operators, when they start, they all dream of dominance globally, right? But the reality is every market is different, and it's very hard to operate in many markets at the same time and be able to dominate these markets. So how do you localize your sportsbook content for different regions without overcomplicating the setup or delivery or time to market?
Well, yeah, thank you for this question, Dmitry. And yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you that many operators try to, reach the Olympus, and they try to, become the mastodons on the market without taking into consideration, the localization of your product for the market. And as I already mentioned in one of my episodes before, one size doesn't always suit all. And in modern times, even less. So times for monopoly and also so-called oligopoly are over. You need to take into consideration the localization, and it's not just about translating the interface. Moreover, it's about cultural immersion built into the content, the trading model, and the user journey. How come? Well, we operate on a global first, local ready architecture. For example, RTMP streams delivered with no latency at all. And for example, trading parameters adapted to local market behavior. Or, for example, event formats matched to cultural rhythm. Not just time zone, but here's what makes it real. We do not localize for our B2B partners exclusively. As I already mentioned before, we localize for their end users, and that's a very different mindset. We ask, would I bet on this if I lived in Sao Paulo, for example, or Jakarta, Indonesia, or Warsaw, in the end of the day? One example, our powered football, AI football, we built specifically for LATAM B2B clients, for LATAM operators, fully local narrative, visual style, and market logic. So you have to take into consideration the cultural code of every nation, because we are all built different. We're all born in different places, and all of us have different cultural codes. But in order to succeed on a certain market, you have to dive deep to look through this cultural code of every individual, no matter where he lives, no matter where they live. And you always have to be ready to accept the fact that his understanding of the world, his perception of their reality, might be totally different from yours. And they don't just ask for content, they ask for resonance. And, we delivered this kind of resonance. We are our AI football solution to our partners in LATAM. So in 2025, the main goal, the main takeaway for all suppliers, all operators is pretty simple. Not words, but relevance. You do not scream at your audience hoping that they will be attracted by a product, but rather you ask yourself, first and foremost, what am I doing for these guys to be attracted to my product? And how can I make them, interested in the product? And in the end of the day, why my product matters at all. And that's it. Plain and simple.
Everything you just said makes an absolute sense, but I don't think many companies actually understand it. And thanks a lot for sharing these thoughts. But my next question is actually about something you mentioned about technologies and the new tech trends, because it feels like industry is using this like AI or machine learning buzzword way too much and way too often. So it feels like it's not something which can one company utilize effectively, and is not a real application of technology. So how do you choose which new tech trends and features to add to the product experience and which one to skip? Because the price and the complexity of integrating new tech is insane. So how do you guys dealing with it?
Well, I beg your pardon, sir, but maybe some people from the audience might consider me a bit rude, but I'll be straightforward. So we're not running a buffet, we're not on the menu. We're building a product with economic gravity. What do I mean by that? Well, technically, we run every trend through one filter. Will it increase retention, margin, or scalability, or engagement within the 90 days for our client? If the answer is clearly no, for example, it's just a noise. And for example, as you probably remember, this metric that Steve Jobs used to use back in the day, the sound to focus ratio. And you have to be precise when it comes to features of your product, when it comes to your clients. So it's not just about philosophical position, it's operational discipline. And we dropped full exclusivity with a global feed provider back in the day, so it was Sportradar, for the exact reason. It gave us locked-in reliability, but killed our adaptability. So we pivoted from that equation. Trends are tools, and they're not exclusively trophies, and not necessary, and not actually, yeah, they might not be trophies at all. If it doesn't serve the roadmap, the user or the monetization model, we pass. But let someone else burn money chasing buzzwords. We're not chasing the buzzwords. We're precise, we're constant, and we want to deliver the top-notch product to our end user.
I like it a lot, but it feels like still, in order to build complex tech and to integrate new technologies, you need to compromise somewhere. I mean, I don't know where you guys have a few thousand developers in house, but it feels like it's a very complicated situation where you need to balance short-term clients' needs, but at the same time, build like a longer-term product and the company strategy, integrating new tech, etc. So how do you balance between these two?
Well, thank you, Dmitry, for such a lovely compliment. Hopefully one day we'll have a couple of thousand developers. I hope so. Currently, our stack of developers is a bit more or less smaller, like 10, 20, 30, 50 times less, but anyway. Okay, back to the question. So you can't ship innovation at the expense of uptime. We do not play that game. Every new feature needs to be strictly evaluated, scrutinized, and remedied. And for example, if it goes through our stress protocol, like not only QA, but real life battleground testing under high traffic and load simulation. So every innovation that we would like to implement, that we want to make, it basically is prescribed from the get-go to the stress test. No compromises. The model is, again, simple, but anyway brutal. So 80% of traffic is routed to our stable core, which runs at enterprise-grade uptime. The remaining 20% is routed to our test zone, where controlled risk is accepted. And this allows us to ship fast, test fast, and fail safely, without impacting live partners. And if a new feature compromises performance, well, what do we do in this case? Obviously, then it's not a feature, because it's a bug in disguise in the system, and we kill it on site. Innovation is all about responsibility. If you break stability, you're not having innovation. You're experimenting on your clients. And that's not how we work, because we appreciate our clients, their nerves, and our, cordial relationships that we have with them. So we don't want to mangle with their B2C clients, and we don't want to basically become the monsters in their eyes. So we want to keep everything fair and square, and as the saying goes, keep on and carry on. And that's what we take into consideration, and this is like our shibboleth.
So how do you roll out new sportsbook content or markets while maintaining speed, accuracy, and consistency across all your partners?
Well, Dmitry, frankly speaking, the answer to this question is never simple, but nevertheless, it is intriguing. So here we go. Content rollout isn't a bad job. It's more like a supply chain. So we built our own delivery fabric. From the get-go, you have RTMP streams for real-time distribution. Secondly, you have event-based OCR or ML, depending on the type of discipline. Thirdly, you have AI quality control, multi-feed sync engines with fallback logic. A marketing-ready framework that hooks content into promotions, UX nudges, and session logic. Each rollout follows our ISO grade launch protocol. No delays, no data gaps, no downstream surprises. And because in this industry, a new market isn't just a feed update, it's a risk surface. And we mitigate that risk throughout and through engineering, not just hope. Our model is pretty simple and clear. Again, we do not release content, we release the value. And for example, you definitely know the company Netflix, and the way we structure our approach is very similar. Just like Netflix, we drop content by slot, by demand profile, and by expected impact. And that's how we help operators expand without breaking this consistency and grow without growing complexity.
Yeah, I really like it. It feels like you guys found a way in how to balance all the things: custom build, go to market, and building and delivering the complex tech which supports everything's behind. So I really like it, and I really appreciate you sharing these insights and the strategic challenges you guys face and how you navigate them. I'm 100% sure that this will give listeners a much clearer picture of what goes behind the scenes and whether you can trust the platform providers or not. Thank you so much, Dmitry. It's been a great episode and a great pleasure to have you with us here.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, Dmitry. Wish you all the best. Good luck. And hope to see you soon.
Likewise.